It's an SEC Christmas miracle.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in, making Locked On Sooners their first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We are just days away from football Christmas. That's Oklahoma, Tennessee, first game in the SEC, a number of incredible storylines surrounding this matchup. But the most important one here, Jay, Oklahoma is getting healthier as they enter the most significant part of their season.
Yeah, we got the first official SEC injury report from the Sooners as well as the Tennessee Volunteers, because now the SEC requires that in conference play, you have to put out your injury report the Wednesday before.
Love it.
I love it. So now we get something. But this is the first one of 3. They're going to have this one today, put out Wednesday. They'll put one out, if I'm correct, Friday. And then the official one comes Saturday afternoon. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited the fact that we are starting to get a little bit healthier, right? You're 4 outs. You got Jaden Gibson, of course. Jalil Farouk are out. Gary and Hatchett, of course, we know is out. One that kind of surprised me is Gentry Williams is still going to be out. So I'm guessing that shoulder, that stinger he got in the last couple of games is bothered him a little bit more than anticipated. But we're getting some doubtfuls, questionables, and probables, which are going to be a big deal going forward.
Yeah, so Santa Sankey making this a little bit more like the NFL and giving us a nice little gift a few days ahead of time where we're not having to guess as much about who's going to be available, who's not. Now, coaches are going to play some games with some questionable designations, just like Bill Belichick used to do with Tom Brady every single week of his career, basically. But let's talk to the questionables. The big one is going to be Branson Hickman, Jake Taylor. Both of those guys are listed as questionable on the injury report. It seems like Branson Hickman is closer to being able to play than maybe Jake Taylor, who was dinged up and then sat out last week. Branson Hickman has just kind of been nursing an ankle sprain. Hopefully he's able to go. And we'll talk in the second segment about the offensive line, but I think that's a big one to watch over the next few days. If Branson Hickman can go, that does change a lot for your offensive line. But we've talked about it earlier this week. Nick Anderson is expected to be back. He was listed as probable. Andrel Anthony listed as probable after sitting out the last 2 games. How significant is that, Jay?
I think it's huge for what we're trying to do, right? The biggest thing that's been hurting us the most is the lack of experience that we've had, especially in the wide receiver room, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at all the young guys, and we've talked about it here numerous times, but getting some of these experienced players back out there is going to really help. I think offensive line wise with Everett as well as Hickman, I'm excited that we're going to get some better bodies out there, right? The ones that we were training with back in the spring in preparation for this season, the ones that we were getting adjusted to and used to getting back out there. And then, of course, Nick Anderson and Andrel Anthony looking like a probable in this game. I'm not sure if Andrel's going to play. I know that, he's been trying to get himself more comfortable with that knee. But Nick, man, we talked about that on the Monday show. That's going to be a game changer for the Sooners having him back, because that's been the biggest stressor is who are we going to be throwing the ball to, right? Someone to help spread that field. And then, of course, Kendall Dobie. Now, defensively, Kendall Dobie, I wish we could get McCullough back. Seeing him doubtful is kind of concerning, but hopefully that gets, upgraded as we get closer to the game. It looks like his toe's doing better, but now Kendall Dobie being out there is going to be a big-time difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I love what Samuel Masigo was doing, but you could tell that he was young. Kendall brings that experience and that boom to where he's going to be right in the way of any passes that Nico tries to make across the middle or even towards the outside. He's so good at that zone that, man, he's going to be – and he likes to blitz. So he's going to be putting some pressure on the kid.
Yeah, I think with Tennessee trying to run up tempo, run more quick passing game, stuff that's going to be short, intermediate parts of the field as well. I think having Kendall Dolby available is going to help your competitiveness in the passing game because he's a really good cover guy. He creates competitive plays like the interception. Who got the interception week
Kanai.
two? Kanai got that interception. That's right. Kanai did the Kendall Dolby thing this past week. So
Yeah.
Kanai got the interception because Kendall Dolby went up and made a really competitive play on the football. So having him back, and Samuel Masigo will certainly rotate in and he'll get opportunities to play because he was really good against Tulane. But yeah, still needs to develop and build that experience up. But having Kendall Dolby back gives you that nickel corner that you were kind of missing last week. And you kind of got a little bit overextended at cornerback, had to go to Jacoby Johnson a little bit. Woody Washington, he's been solid, but I think your best lineup potentially is a lineup that features Kendall Dolby as your cheetah. And then with Kanai Walker and Des Malone on the outside, it gives you that size, that length, that competitiveness in zone coverage. I'm concerned for Gentry. I'm at this point where I'm like, I'm not expecting him to play until he plays, because he's just been on this roller coaster ride and you hate it for him because he was having a really, really nice season last year before he got injured. And it's just hasn't worked to be able to get him back on the field. Same with Deshaun McCullough. I know things are improving, but until he's available and until he's able to suit up and go, that's when I'll then have expectations for him because until then, I just don't know. I don't know when he's going to be able to be back. But I think what this is saying is like, hey, this team that's 3-0, they're a 3-0 team. However it looked, it's getting healthier, and that's only going to benefit them as they move forward.
Yeah, I feel bad for Deshaun as well as Gentry. They got all the talent in the world, and we've seen some flashes of them, and then just getting hit with the injury bug is so unfortunate, right? I had Gentry as getting himself drafted in the first couple of rounds, day one, day two guy, no problem, especially with his speed, his skill set, and his size. Mm-hmm. He had an opportunity to do that, but man, that shoulder is just not treating him right. So with him being out, they may need to go ahead and check on it, see if it needs to be something that needs to be, think that he hasn't had another surgery, be out for the year again and try again next year. I don't know, man. I feel bad for him there. Deshaun, I was expecting him coming back one more year anyway. So he'll help bring some additional experience in the linebacker room. But he's just, like I said, he's got to get healthy. So I feel really bad with them not being able to play. But Kendall is huge coming back. Now, to me, as well as Andrew Anthony, I mean, him coming off that knee surgery, as I really think about it, those three have been dealing with injuries that, makes you a little nervous to put them to work, right? That shoulder, you got to use it to hit. And sometimes you're not going to comfortable. And for Gentry's, every time we saw him fall, you saw him grab that shoulder. So it was he can tackle and get people going. But if he falls on his own, feels like he's glass at that point. And in Deshaun, he kept getting chopped so much in the last half of the season that he was dealing with nothing but leg and knee and feet problems the entire time. And at this point, let's prep him for next season. Because I think the linebacker room is solid. I think that we've got enough guys in the depth, in the 2 deep and the 3 deep, especially the way that Kobe McKenzie's been playing this year. We should be good linebacker-wise going forward. But, John, I mean, to me, having Nick back, I'm still just ecstatic at the fact that we've got an experienced wide receiver going to be on there on the outside.
Yeah, I think it's going to open things up for the passing game, for the run game. Jackson Arnold's just going to feel more comfortable, and I think that makes a big, big difference. What's also going to help Jackson Arnold feel more comfortable, a little bit healthier offensive line. Are they going to be ready for Tennessee? We'll discuss coming up next.
So you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, of course, America's #1 sports book. Well, we've got something else for you. It's something a little different. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers that bet $5, just $5, you'll get 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So with your YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So if you're going into that sports book and checking them out over there at FanDuel.com, right now Oklahoma is still sitting at a 7.5-point dog with a money line, which has dropped. It's only plus 215. So Vegas is feeling a little something about this game. You can go over there and put your bets in. So go bet that $5 at FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook.
Hey, Sooner fans, have you heard of ROY? It stands for Return on You, and it's a new platform that lets you, the fans, get involved in NIL like never before by making contributions directly to your favorite athletes. By supporting players directly, you can help shape rosters, retain talent, and keep your favorite athletes out of the transfer portal. As you all know, NIL has changed the game for athletes. ROY changes the NIL game for fans. You can directly support players through ROY. It allows fans to directly back their favorite college athletes. With ROY, fans can play a key role in shaping the future of their favorite teams while athletes maximize their name, image, and likeness. So download ROY for iOS or Android and enter referral code Locked On, and you'll automatically be entered into a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. Visit joinroy.com for additional details. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Get off the sidelines and into the NIL game with ROY. So the offensive line is getting healthier. Troy Everett should be available for this week. Branson Hickman, we've heard that there's a good chance that he could play. What does that do for Oklahoma's offensive line this week against Tennessee?
Bringing those experienced snaps changes a lot, right? Like, we all know that Troy Everett was working closely with Jackson Arnold as his main center in the spring. Then when Troy hurt his knee, we went out and got Branson Hickman to come in. And then basically, Jackson Arnold was working with Hickman. And so in these games, right, in the 4 starts that he has of his career, he's had 4 different centers. I mean, he had 4 different centers in his first 3 games. So that's a lot to have for a young quarterback to try to readjust himself multiple times. I know that in camp, he was working with Josh Isosa, the freshman, right? Because he was needing some sort of a center there that was healthy, that could get the ball to him. And so having Hickman and Troy Everett back is going to be huge. I know Troy Everett's put on a lot of weight. I think the last thing I saw weight-wise, he was sitting at the 315, 320 range, which is massive in comparison to the 290 that he was last season when he had first got to Oklahoma. He's put on the weight. You can tell that he's been working out. He's been getting himself stronger. And now, honestly, you can slide him over at guard, right? That gives Heath Ozada somebody to work with. And it makes it to where you can bring Heath in and you can have somebody to rotate around. That way you've got as much experience as you possibly can on that line, because Tennessee's defensive front is really good. And having experience is going to help a lot.
Yeah, if you can get both Branson Hickman back to play center, Troy Everett can slide over to play guard. Now you feel a whole lot better about that offensive line, because you have Michael Tarkin at right tackle, tons of experience. Febechi Wiwu at right guard, a lot of experience. And then with Hickman and Everett, a lot of experience. And Jacob Sexton is your uber talented potential top 50 draft pick because he's so good at playing offensive line. And you've got him in a better position than playing guard. He's a much better tackle than he is a guard. I think he's more suited for that. Can he play guard? Absolutely. Is he a tackle? Definitely.
He looks like a tackle playing guard. So it makes it so bad. Yeah.
Right. Unlike a Caden Green, who wants to play tackle, but probably is better suited to play guard. It's the other way around for Jacob Sexton. So I think this gets everybody in better positions, and those communication issues that were issues the first 3 weeks of the season, well, with Branson Hickman and Troy Everett in the middle with Febechi Wiwu, 3 veterans right there in the middle, you're unlikely to have as many communication breakdowns. I think it's going to be incredibly important to have these guys back, and it's going to provide a big boost for the offense. How much of a boost? We'll see. I'm not expecting Oklahoma to go out all of a sudden and rush for 300 yards, but I could see them definitely averaging 4.5 yards a carry because you get that experience back. I can see this opening up the passing game a little bit more because you get more experience, you get more confidence in those guys up front to be able to hold up protection for those deep patterns. So I think it's absolutely huge. It allows Jackson Arnold probably to feel a little bit more comfortable in the pocket with what he's got up front, as opposed to when you're on your 4th option at center and you're on a guy that had never played a down of college football yet, and you're relying on those guys on your left side. You're going to have a whole lot more comfortability with what you're rolling out there at offensive line this week. But are they going to be ready for Tennessee? That's going to be the biggest question, because Tennessee is a really good offense or defensive line, and James Pierce is one of the best players in the 2025 draft eligible class.
Yeah, they're at D tackle and at edge. They've got some players that have been showing out this year. They've got some talent that's been putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks and making it tough. And as you mentioned, I think the one thing for JA is in this one is for Jackson Arnold, his main thing is going to have to be being comfortable staying in the pocket long enough for the plays to develop and the plays to open up. And yeah, having Troy Everett to the left, Branson Hickman right there in the middle, I sense a lot more comfortability should show up. The best thing is one of those two can play center, right? You can go between the two, no problem. This will give Joshua Bates an opportunity to get more healthy, and he'll be able to get more reps later. But between those two, you'll have some guys that have experience that can even interchange as needed. So if you need to bring Hickman out, you can move Troy over there to center, and you can slide Heath Zeta in there at left guard. And you still got some comfort on that left side because, Heath wasn't perfect, but Heath did really good at left guard, in his start there against Tulane. And Sexton is so much better at tackle. Now, your right side is pretty solid. Weiwu, he's getting his feet going. He's getting better. And Tarkin is honestly your top-rated offensive lineman right now, right? Everybody questioned if USC had broke him and because he wasn't very good there, ended up getting benched, but he was solid at Florida and he's come here and it looks like he's about as solid as he was back in his Florida days. That's a huge development for Oklahoma, and I think that's going to be what's going to really change things for us going forward.
Yeah, because I remember the conversation back in the spring when Tarkin arrived, and people were speculating, hey, is he going to play guard? Because you got Jake Taylor, Jacob Sexton, where's he going to fit? Well, and he was saying, hey, I'm here to play tackle. I'm not playing guard. And sure enough, he became the starting left tackle, bumped over to right tackle, and his stability has been so important for this offensive line. His ability to play both sides of the offensive line has been so important. Now, he's got to clean up some of the stance issues, line of scrimmage, lining up issues from bumping from the left to the right, where he had the two, basic illegal formation penalties against Tulane, but I'm sure he'll clean those up for this week and he'll feel more comfortable. It's hard to go from, hey, I've been playing left tackle all fall to, okay, now I got to bump over to the right side. It changes things a little bit. So I don't feel uncomfortable with Tarkin over at right tackle. I don't feel uncomfortable really with the offensive line. I thought it had progressively played better and better each week. Were there snaps where they got beat? Yep, there were. But I thought they were playing better as a whole. And that's really all you can ask for, right? Is just improvement. Do we want them to be a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line? 100%. Is it going to be a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line? No, it's not. So just get better. Just get better week to week. And getting healthier this week is going to help them be better than they were last week.
Exactly. And all you need the reps. You need those reps. These guys need those reps together just so we can get some long-term continuity. Because it's literally been a just been turning over with linemen over and over with people being healthy and playing. Heck, Jake Taylor's hurt now, right? We're seeing that he's on the injured list of not being able to probably play. And so for us, the hope is that we can get healthier, right? On the offensive line, get a little bit more depth, and the young guys can play. I know that we're seeing some of the young guys actually get out there and get some reps. So, it's good to get a little bit of early reps, especially in games that, we should easily win. Now we're going up against the true competition, the ones that we ain't no gap there, right? You need to go up there and you need to be playing your best. And the good thing is that we've got, 3 offensive linemen potentially coming back. I mean, Jake is still listed as questionable. Same thing with Hickman. And so Jake probably can play, but they're most likely going to leave him out, let Tarkin just run things on the right, which he's done very well. There's no reason to force Jake Taylor out there. Get him healthy. That way you have another backup just in case. But it's good to see that we're starting to get, the attrition is kicking our butt. And hopefully the bug just bit us in the beginning of the season and it doesn't touch us in the end of the season.
That's right. Now's the time of the year when you want to be your healthiest. Now, they still got some guys they got to get back, but with the offensive line kind of coming together, getting some healing happening, good vibes. I was talking to a D2 college coach on Wednesday when I was at my daughter's cross country meet, and he spoke on it. He said, not having your guys available to practice with or play with, the guys you expect to start, it changes everything for the offense. So now getting these guys back, can it change everything for the offense for the good? Cannot wait to find out when Oklahoma plays Tennessee on Saturday night. Not a lot of people are high on the Sooners or giving them much of a chance. We'll discuss who's sleeping on them coming up next. If you're looking for last minute tickets and the lowest prices, you got to go check out Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Right now, over on the Game Time app, which you can download in your App Store or the Google Play Store, I'm seeing some great seats available. Row 15 in the lower end zone, $202. Section 109, $175. If you're wanting to get to this first SEC matchup with all of the storylines, you got to go download the Game Time app. Use our promo code LOCKEDONCollege. You can get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Terms apply. But again, download the Game Time app in your app store. You can also go to gametime.co in your web browser. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Over at Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. Again, thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. The experts are not super confident in the Oklahoma Sooners this weekend against the Tennessee Volunteers. And I get it. Tennessee is going to be a trendy pick based on what they've done. They've got a top 1 offense, a top 3 defense, and they've looked really, really, really good. They've looked really, really sharp. So I understand why there's a lot of folks picking Tennessee over Oklahoma. Who are some of the names, Jay, that are leaning more towards the Volunteers on the road?
I mean, you look at all the big names out there. Josh Pate's already basically said he thinks Oklahoma's going to lose. He thinks Tennessee wins big in that game. Feinbaum believes that Tennessee wins the game, but he doesn't think that it's going to be a big win. I think that it'll be just a win. Mainly because with both, the bigger thing right now is just the uncertainty with the offensive line play. We talked about that last segment around, Oklahoma had the uncertainty of the offensive line coming into the season. That was the biggest question. And then a young quarterback. And the offenses look, quiet. Well, the good thing for us is we're starting to get some of those players back, and they're coming back at the right time in hopes that, if we get multiples out there and they're ready to ball out, we should be able to do some big things against Tennessee. But yeah, a lot of the experts really, they're leaning in on this Tennessee, right? I mean, they've gone out there and beat teams basically at a margin of like 68.5 points average, right? In victory, right? They're destroying the competition. Now, granted, they've not played a lot of competition, right? If you go look at some of the rankings of the teams that they played against, they haven't played a team as good as Tulane yet. Let's just put it that way, right? Just based upon the numbers. I mean, North Carolina State was 24th in the country at the time, but the way they played in last 3 weeks, no, they have not looked like a team even that should have been ranked in the top 25. So just saying that Tulane is considered to be ranked, I think they're like 45th in the SP Plus in comparison to like 76 for North Carolina State when they played against, Tennessee. So no one believes that our defense is as good as it is, right? And I totally understand that. You got to see it. You got to see it on the field, especially because Tennessee has shut out teams for the most part. But, again, they've played North Carolina State. That's really it, right? So we'll see what this looks like, once the game hits. But to me, I think that everyone's leaning there just because, they're the new shiny thing. And no shade to the Vols. They look great.
They look great. Right?
The run game looks good. The blocking looks great. Nico has his moments when he needs to do stuff. He looks pretty solid. But they haven't had to lean on Nico at all. It's all about Sampson. That kid is a beast. And every other running back behind him has been it. And the defense on the defensive line has caused all the pressure. For Oklahoma to win, it's making sure that they can not nullify the defensive line, slow them down. Jackson Arnold can go out there and really work it to his wide receivers, and then that should open up the run game even more. But yeah, that's kind of what it's looking like right now in the landscape.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tennessee, and they've done a really, really good job at creating an offense in a situation for Nico where he doesn't have to go win them the football game. But what's it going to be like when he goes into Owen Field and gets put in situations where he's going to have to throw Tennessee for a first down, a 3rd and long, 2nd and long? Are they going to face that? I would imagine they will. I think Oklahoma's defense is good enough to put Tennessee in some longer down and distances. I think the home crowd is going to affect Nico and is going to affect the offense. How much, we'll find out, but I think it will have somewhat of an effect. Will it completely rattle him? I don't think so. I think he's a good enough quarterback to not completely be rattled by it, but it certainly will have an impact on communication. It'll have an impact on getting the signals in. And then, this defense being as good as it is, I think there's a chance that they could create a couple turnovers and keep this thing close. And as much as it, on paper, it looks like it should be Tennessee by double digits, I just don't think that that's going to be the case. I really don't. And you could say I'm drinking the crimson Kool-Aid or I got the crimson colored glasses on. That's fine. I just am a believer in the defense. And listen, as much as modern football wants to emphasize offensive football, it's still a defensive game. And the team that generally has the best defensive performance is going to have the best chance to win. Now, you got to have an offense that goes along with it. So you can't be the Iowa Hawkeyes and expect to just play defense and beat teams 6-3. That's just not going to be the reality. But Oklahoma's got an offense that's capable of scoring. Can they score with Tennessee if this game gets out of control and into the 30s and 40s? I don't know that. I can't say that they can, but I can't say that they won't, because of the offensive line getting healthier and getting more, experience and consistency. But I just don't think this is going to be a game that runs away from Oklahoma. I don't.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I don't think this is going to be a blowout game on either side. I think it's going to actually be a lot better game than people's going to expect, right? I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think that everyone's going to I don't think that Tennessee takes as many risks as everyone thinks, right? I think everyone believes that Tennessee is going to be, this team's going to be nothing and we're going to overlook them and we're going to go out there and blow them out. If Tennessee walks in with that type of attitude, they're going to lose, just like they did the last two times they played against Oklahoma. The one time at Owen Field where they got blown out, and the time that Oklahoma got there and came back from 17-3 to win the game in overtime. They're not going to go in there with that mindset. They're going to play this game as if it is one of their last ones of the season, right? Like, this is the one pivotal one for them, because it is. You win this game, Tennessee has an opportunity to take a straight line into the SEC championship game. That is what they've got in front of them. And all the doubts and the questions we've had about them has really been around the quarterback. I put it to you this way, John. If this game was played, and we'll talk more about Tennessee in depth tomorrow show, but if Tennessee was playing Oklahoma in November, I will be a lot more nervous about Tennessee than I am today. And it's only because of experience. We're playing the younger version of this team. They're still gaining it. Nico's still gaining it. Same thing I feel about Jackson Arnold. I told y'all the one thing that I'm sold on Jackson Arnold was the wide receiver room around him was going to be so experienced that would help him to adjust. We ain't had that, and he looks like it. Once we start getting healthier there, think his game gets better. If this was November, I'd probably pick Tennessee because I'd be a lot more nervous just because they're going to be a really good team. Next season, Tennessee's going to be a problem, especially in Knoxville. They're going to be good because a lot of those players will be back, and Nico's going to be at the helm for a second full season of running it. Yeah, they're going to be terrifying next season.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be against a really, really good team. That Tennessee Volunteers team is good, so don't mistake what we're saying here as saying Tennessee's bad. They're really good. We just also think that Oklahoma is good enough to keep it close as well. And, hey, when you're at home in an SEC environment at night, a lot of weird things happen, i.e. Kentucky, Georgia from a week ago. So,
yeah,
it's not impossible. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all the social media profiles and platforms, not profiles, but and platforms. You can also go be a part of our Locked On Sooners Insider program by texting Sooners to 405-817-6711 to join. That's 405-817-6711 to join. You'll get 2 weeks free where you can interact with Jay and myself on a regular basis, on a daily basis. You got questions, you've got comments, you've got takes that you want to fire off, you can do it. And we will talk with you, chat with you, and use your questions here on the show. Again, 405-817-6711. Text Sooners to join and follow the prompts you get back. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We cannot wait to continue breaking down Oklahoma, Tennessee with you here on Locked On Sooners. Boomer.
Sooner.